Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Box Office Ricky. I'm your host, Ricky, and this is the channel where we talk about movies the right way. No pretension, no gatekeeping, just real talk about what's hitting theaters. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button because we do this every week. Now, let's get into it. Today, we're reviewing The Drama, the new A24 film from the Norwegian director Kristoffer Borgli. I'm probably totally mispronouncing that wrong. The same guy who gave us Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage. This one stars Robert Pattinson and Zendaya as Charlie and Emma, a happily engaged couple living in Boston, picture perfect, about to get married, and then during a wine dinner with their best friends, someone asks the group a simple question: what's the worst thing you've ever done? That question right there is where this movie cracks wide open. Now, just so you know, I'm going into spoiler territory in a moment. So if you haven't seen this film yet, stick around for my verdict at the end. I'm going to make sure you know when the spoilers are coming. So before I dive into my review, let me kind of give you some production context. Let's talk about this movie. The Drama is a 2026 American romantic black comedy written and directed by Kristoffer Borgli, released in theaters by A24 back in April 3rd. I'm a little late to the ball game, so I apologize. Borgli previously made Sick of Myself and Dream Scenario, films built on uncomfortable premises and dark satirical energy. A24 is the perfect home for this kind of material. The film premiered in Los Angeles on May 17th and was shot partly in Boston, with wedding scenes filmed at Turner Hill Golf Club in Ipswich. And in terms of star power, this one is a big one. The Drama is actually the first of three films Zendaya and Pattinson will share the screen on. They both appear in Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, and then also Dune Part 3, which is coming out later in 2026. And let's talk about the box office numbers. They're definitely talking. The Drama has crossed $100 million, becoming only the fifth A24 film ever to hit that mark, joining Everything Everywhere All at Once, Civil War, The Materialists, and Marty Supreme. Not bad for a film built around one of the most uncomfortable dinner conversations in a movie history. So let's get into spoilers. So from here on out, you'll be hearing spoilers from me, and you have been warned, my friends. So here's the question the movie dares to ask, and I mean dares. If you and your fiance planned a school, or if your fiance planned a school shooting as a teenager, would you still marry her? That's what The Drama puts on the table. Zendaya's character Emma, back when she was a depressed, isolated teenager, she this is what she planned. She never went through with it, but she planned it. And now she's 30 years old. She's not that person anymore. She's kind, she's empathetic. She's about to walk down the aisle. And the real question the movie asks, are you the same person you were as a kid? Should the worst thing you almost did define you forever? Should it follow you into your marriage? And I thought about that for a long time after this film. And honestly, I don't have a clean answer. And I think that's the point. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments about that, and what would you do in that scenario? Okay, now here are my full thoughts on the film. The first 20 minutes of the movie, I would say, are pretty slow. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The setup takes its time, but I also understand why. Borgli, needs you to fall in love with these two people before he tears everything apart. The meet cute is charming, and the chemistry between Pattinson and Zendaya is real. And then the dinner scene hits, and pretty much everything changes from that point on. I'll be honest with you, I kind of already knew what the big reveal was going on because a friend told me. But here's the thing, even knowing it, watching it play out was fascinating. Watching Zendaya deliver that confession, watching the room react, watching Pattinson's face in real time as the man he thought he was about to become starts to unravel. Because that's really what this movie's about. Charlie Pattinson's character becomes unmoored still deeply in love with Emma, but unable to reconcile that gap between who she is and the violent impulses she once entertained. And watching him slowly come apart is where Pattinson absolutely earns this role. This is a career performance. Now, Zendaya, her character has changed. She's not the same person she was as a teenager. Borgli gives us the backstory. Emma grew up in a military family, moving constantly, isolated, bullied when she finally settled down in the South. She found a community in the dark corners of the internet and spiraled. But she came back from that. She became someone new. And the movie forces you to ask that question, does that matter? Now, I will say, the maid of honor, played by Alana Hamm, becomes the real villain of this film. She's a wealthy woman whose identity is rooted in political correctness. But she refuses to look inward. She weaponizes her moral outrage. And the hypocrisy is staggering because every person at the table did something terrible. Emma just planned something she never did. And by the end of this film, Rachel is the monster. And Alana Hamm plays it to perfection. So Borgli keeps circling back to that one idea that empathy is unevenly distributed. Those quickest to judge are often least capable of it. That's the gut punch of this movie. Now, let me quickly talk about the controversy about this film. There's actually two layers to it. So let's dive into the big controversy. Some audiences felt blindsided. The marketing positioned this film as a rom-com with a twist, and the subject matter is far heavier than people expected. Critics noted that Borgli missed the mark on the viewer advisory. The heaviness of Emma's confession wasn't carefully telegraphed, leading to genuinely shocked responses in theaters. Layer 2 is the director. A 2012 Norwegian magazine essay written by Borgli himself resurfaced on Reddit just before the film's release. Written when Borgli was 27, the essay reflects on a relationship he had with a teenage girl. While the legal age of consent in Norway is 16, the relationship remained socially contentious, and the essay went viral. The Hollywood Reporter picked it up, other outlets followed it, and suddenly Borgli's past was part of the conversation around the film. It was a real cloud over an otherwise impressive piece of work, and it's something audiences are absolutely right to grapple with. All right, so here's my verdict. Here is where I land with the drama. I would say the movie itself is not for everyone because it's uncomfortable by design. It's slow out the gate, but once it gets going, it really goes. The Rotten Tomatoes consensus says it walks out with a tonal tightrope with the impressive poise, and I think that's right. Pattinson and Zendaya give performances that remind you why these two are the biggest stars of their generation. The question it asks about identity, about redemption, about what we owe the people we love, those questions stayed with me. And a movie that makes you think like this is worth your time. So, my verdict is, go see it. Just know what you're walking into. All right, everybody, that's all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on Box Office Ricky. If you enjoyed the review, like the video, drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of the drama. And as always, take care. I will see you next time. Peace.